This episode of the Added Time podcast is sponsored by Everton the Gear. Well, welcome back to the Added Time podcast with me, Alan Myers, and my co-host, Tony Grant, the former Everton and Manchester City and Burnley midfielder. Tony, where do we start with the weekend? I'll tell you where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with struggling managers.
Okay.
Because we're, 12 games into the season. It's a little bit mad to be talking about struggling managers, but there are a few that really stick out at the moment. We'll start, obviously, near the top, and we'll talk about Arne Slot. He's struggling. Is he in trouble, do you think? I mean, I can't believe I hear comments from Liverpool fans saying, change the manager.
Well, it's the nature of the game, Al, isn't it, really? I can't remember Liverpool having this type of run for forever, really.
No.
I don't remember them. I'm even expecting them to draw or to lose at Anfield, which I don't remember in the last 15, 20 years so often thinking that's going to happen. So every time you watch Liverpool, there seems to be holes everywhere. There seems to be gaps everywhere. I think they've lost, these are the champions. I think they've lost the... when teams are afraid to go to Anfield, I think teams are actually looking forward to playing Liverpool at the moment.
But, we talk about this word transition, and there is whether anyone likes it or not, there is a transition going on at Anfield. There's a number of new players come in, big name players with a lot of pressure, one or two who haven't really had the pre-season that they'd have wanted. Surely there's a time to say, give him a bit of time. I mean, people... the accusation about Slot last year was that he won the league last year with Jurgen Klopp's team. But, Jurgen Klopp didn't win the league with that team the year before. So, you have to give the guy credit for what he did. And I just think it's a bit mad to be talking about changing the manager at this point.
Well, where do you stop? I think the next game's West Ham away. West Ham have just started picking up, haven't they? If they go there and they don't win, where do you stop and start? Unless that club see Arne Slot as, regardless of the results of the moment, if them club, because I think they've changed the way they sort of run it. Like under Klopp, I think Klopp was the instigator of a lot of stuff. I think he was the final say on whoever comes in and doesn't come in. And then I think there was a big shift, and they bring in a new board to bring players in. Is Arne Slot just almost like a yes man now to the board? We're bringing these players in regardless, or are they working together? One thing's for certain is they don't look like a team. He inherited a strong squad of Klopp with a strong mentality. We'll probably talk a little bit further on about it, but I think players sort of fell out with Klopp towards the end or had a disagreement, and whoever came in with maybe fresh ideas was always going to be a plus. And they started the season really well. But I said last year, Al, I don't think that Liverpool team I seen last year, I'd done a podcast last year, or I was on the radio, I don't see a top team. This is last year when they won the league. And it's only this year I've looked back at it and thought, they only won the league with 2 points more than the year before when Klopp finished. I don't know where he finished, third or fourth. So I didn't see a great team last year, regardless of them winning the league. And the surprise this year is how many games they've lost. But I don't see a great team this year, regardless of the money they spent.
They've got PSV in the week in Europe. But also, as you say, they go away to West Ham United, which at this moment in time now, with the new manager bounce and all the rest of it, won't be an easy game for them. But do you think, when you look at this, we're 12 games in, you look at the fact that they're in 11th position, is that what's freaking the fans out a little bit, in the fact that, if Liverpool were fourth or, fifth maybe, there's not so much a panic. But when you see them at 11th, and that's basically because the league is the way it is at the moment, is that, do you think, what's really sort of causing the concern?
But I also think they're stuck a little bit. I don't think they know what type of football to play. They come out of Klopp. Everyone keeps telling me Klopp was a transitional, his games were to and fro. When lots of games I watched Klopp's teams, they dominated the games, especially at Anfield. Teams used to just drop off and used to just dominate the games. Now, they might have had transitional games against like your Man Cities of the world, but so does Liverpool now, and so did Liverpool under Slot last year. But then Slot came in and he had this, like, we're all going to play this controlled football, a little bit like a Man City, without looking like Man City. Do you know what I mean? Does that make any sense? They're playing like Man City, but they're not really like Man City.
They don't get the same results.
Yeah, and the patterns of play are a little bit different, but okay, they're a little bit more controlled. Well, now what are they going to do now? Because when I watch Liverpool now, I don't see this control. I don't see this like stamp on the game that we're controlling this game because we've got our identity. Right now, it looks to me as though they're not sure what to do. And that'll be interesting on what they are going to do. Are they going to be a team now? Because all I keep hearing now is they've got to go for a clean sheet. So are they going to get into shape now and let the opposition have a little bit more ball, then become a transitional team? Or are they going to do what they done last year, where they went out and controlled games with the ball? So I think they're in a position where I don't think they're sure what they're going to do.
What? Just to finish on Liverpool, what? You know, if you're a Liverpool fan now, what are you expecting and what are you accepting for this season now? Because you could argue the league title is probably a little bit out of your reach now. I mean, look, it's eight. I think it's 8 points, isn't it? Off the top. You know, we've all seen that turn round in the past. But what is acceptable now for Liverpool this season, do you think?
I think as a fan, if I were a fan of any club, to be honest with you, Al, they've got to go and win the next game, haven't they? And they've got to show signs of becoming a team and, you know, attacking as a team, defending as a team. But they've got to start showing signs that they're going to start winning games of football. And they need the big players to turn up. You know, to be fair to Mo Salah, he's turned up for the last 7-8 years every week. Obviously for Klopp and for Slot last year. So he always turns up. Before that, all the big players always turned up. Now Liverpool have spent a lot of money, and it is a lot of money, Al. They bought a left back in for over £40 million. Yeah. They need him to turn up. They bought Isaac in for a lot of money. They need him to turn up. And if they don't turn up, you know, it could be, you know, Liverpool could end up going into a Man U way for the next couple of years because these players are on big contracts. You know, and the only place you're going to get rid of them is to Saudi. And then do these players really want to go to Saudi? Because no one else can afford them.
It is a fine line, isn't it?
It's a fine line,
you know, that when you're dealing with that sort of amount of money and that level of player.
Yeah.
The next manager on the managers with headache list is Daniel Farke, I think, at Leeds. And it's an interesting one, this. You know, I listened to Leeds fans before the start of the season saying he's not the right man. You know, it got them promoted. They easily won the league, last year. But for some reason, the Leeds fans were not confident about him in the Premier League. We saw what happened last time when he was in the Premier League. It didn't really work. Do you fear for him?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I watched them last night against Villa, and they remind me of the Leeds team who came up a couple of seasons ago. You know, I don't think they've learned anything, to be honest with you. This team looked like a really good championship team. They've got a good 45 minutes in them in the game where they play some good football, they play some exciting football. And then for half an hour of the game, you know, I remember the first game of the season, how they played Everton. And for the first 60 minutes, they battered Everton without scoring. So if you don't score, you know, and this is where, when I say championship teams, the level jumps up. Putting the ball on the back of the net is harder in the Premier League. And I watched them against Everton start of the season, and they were really good. They played some fantastic football. And then they blow up. And then for 20 minutes, it's like they haven't got the legs. Or they've put too much out early doors. And I watched them last night against Villa, and it was carbon copy. They played some great football. And it's like a championship team always overachieving. And you know, and then all of a sudden, you're gassed. You've got no legs. No legs in you.
We heard last night. I mean, the fans were singing "Make Changes." You know, singing for substitutions.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, is that a sign really that they are seeing that?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, and when I say about the team who came up a couple of years ago, it was the same. We all love. Well, I love Leeds as a club. I love the. They remind me of Everton a little bit.
Historic,
yeah, it's always full. The fans are fanatical. But you're playing your gung-ho football for 90 minutes with players. Lots of them are not really Premiership players, but they're good footballers. Like, everyone's got good footballers. Like Wirtz is a good footballer, but are they made for the Premier League?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And then you've got Villa, who are, so last night's game, Villa are taking the pressure, and then all of a sudden are waiting, and then their strength comes through.
It's that Premier League experience.
I think so, yeah. I think some of these clubs who come up, they need to go and get players who are Premiership, whether they're top players or not top players, just go and get some players who know the Prem and are conditioned for the Premier League.
Know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
So if not Farke, then, if they were to make a change, who is the ideal Leeds manager that may be available,
Do you know what? I don't know. I mean, a lot of these clubs always go foreign, don't they? So they might spring up an idea who's out there who we don't know. I actually haven't got a clue what they'll do. Second guessing.
But you bring in someone like, I mean, I'm not suggesting Sam Allardyce or someone who's like seen as a Premier League saviour, if you like. But you bring that, or do you bring someone who's going to bring a new style? People talk about Mark Robbins from the Championship. Frank Lampard is someone who's doing great with Coventry, but people think a number of Premier League clubs are looking at him.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to talk further in a minute, aren't you, Al? But there's two clubs who've made managerial changes who are of that ilk.
Yeah.
One's a Portuguese guy and one's an English guy.
Yeah. One's
Forest, one's West Ham, who've gone the opposite way. We're starting to win. But if you actually look at them as personalities or character, they're similar in a way. They just talk a different language, but they're similar types,
I get
you know what I mean? It's like the guy at West Ham, he's a bit British in a way. Do you know what I mean? I could see him, he sort of understands when you've got to defend.
Yeah, he's a man manager.
He's a man manager as well. And, I think Leeds probably, it's a good point by you. I think maybe they need a little bit of English in their training grounds, and because they do have to start getting clean sheets, and it can't be we're going to play fantastic football, because they keep playing. Actually, they play some good football, but they keep getting beat. Now they've still got good points, Al. So they're not a mile off.
No,
they're not a mile, and yourself, 1 or 2 wins. Yeah. Wherever that comes, puts you up the league. I think whoever comes into Leeds, it doesn't matter if you take Farke out tomorrow. I think whoever comes in, they're not going to go on a magical run where they're going to pick up loads of points. They're going to be fighting relegation till the end of the season. Yeah. It's just whether your man management can come into it. It's whether you can attack certain games to get a point, rather than going out to every game and being so expansive.
Because your first season back in the Prem really is no matter who you are, is a building season, isn't it?
Definitely.
It's one to build, to get a little bit of strength behind you and take it on.
But to be fair to Farke, he's been here. He should know, because he's been in the Prem. Do you know what I mean? So he should know.
Yeah, he's been there with Norwich.
Yeah, so it surprises me that they are so wide open. But yeah, I think he'll have a few more games, and it's the nature of the beast, isn't it?
Maybe Bielsa coming back. That would be a story, wouldn't it?
Well, I'm not sure that would be the one, but who knows? Yeah, who knows?
You mentioned sort of other teams. Does the same go for Scott Parker at Burnley? They're down there in the bottom 3. And many think now, when you look at the start that Wolves have had, and we'll talk about Rob Edwards and Wolves in a moment, but when you look at the start they've had, people are writing them off now already, and you look at Burnley and Leeds, and they look like the 2 teams that you would say are going to join them, in relegation. Is Scott Parker somebody who is struggling at the moment? Is his expectation levels lower than, are people expecting him to be up the top of the league where Sunderland are?
No, I actually think Scott Parker's doing a good job. I think his team, when I watch a Burnley team, they look like a team. They're quite close, their games. Of course, them teams who come up are always going to miss. There's teams who are mid-table now who are missing someone to put the ball in the back of the net, but they might just be defensively or have more know-how than some of these teams. But I think Scott Parker's doing a good enough job, and I think Scott Parker will be okay. I think Burnley will stay up, and I think they should back Scott Parker in January. I think he's the right guy for them.
Okay, we talked about Wolves. Can a manager be struggling after 1 week? I mean, look, he's come in. He knew what he was taking on when he came in. They got a heavy defeat at the weekend. if you're Rob Edwards, what do you do? What's your plan? Because from where they are, survival is certainly possible, but it's unlikely. What do you do if you're Wolves manager? How do you go about that?
I think if you look at Wolves as a club, Al, you sack the manager. The manager you bring in, for me, had to be a man manager. It's not going to be tactics. No. It's galvanising that dressing room. That dressing room's all over the place, I bet you they'll have a good Christmas party, them lads, regardless of where they are in the league. It's that type of mentality. For me, as I don't know Rob Edwards, I'm sure the club have done the homework. Is he a man manager? Is he going to galvanise? Forget your tactics. They've had other managers who've all failed with tactics. Yeah. You know what I mean? Forget that. How are you going to get the best out of your play? How are you going to make them enjoy the fight of trying to get these points?
And when we talk about those managers that come in and have been successful of galvanising teams and beating the odds and keeping teams up, that's the feature, isn't it? Yeah. The feature is getting that camaraderie, getting that spirit. Yeah. We saw it in a sense with Moyes at Everton last season. Yeah. All of a sudden he had a team who was flat as anything. Everyone was sort of on the floor. Yeah. And all of a sudden he brought it in, and he brought this electricity, if you like, for want of a better term, and changed it round. And when you've been in a dressing room like that, have you felt that when a new manager's come in near the end?
Personality is key, Al. Getting in your car every morning to leave your house to go to training, if you've got a good environment, you can't wait to get in. If it's dour and it is all tactics, it's boring. And then you're going out on a Saturday and you're getting turned over. All of a sudden, it's like, I've got to go and listen to him again on a Monday. That's why you get the bounce a lot. Because players are sick and tired of certain voices. So they go,
fresh.
They want something fresh. But then that fresh, it's got to be galvanising. You've got to really get the best. Because the players will get you the points. It's not the manager who will get you the points. It's the players. So you're looking at Forest now with their change. There's players who are running further. They're running faster. They're running... It's not rocket science. That's not untactical.
But a fan will look at that, as I'm a fan, you know, I've never played like you have, but I'm a fan and I look at it and think, well, why that should be the minimum.
Yeah, I get that.
But I get the reality is the human beings. And,
correct.
I always remember I was on a management course many years ago in my job at Sky, and, because I managed a few people. And I always remember the guy who was training us said, every morning, never underestimate your words as a manager. Because everything you say, everything you do, whether they admit it or not, your staff are watching that and they're taking their lead from that. And their day will be based on how you are when you walk into the office. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. And it doesn't mean the manager has to be friends with everyone. You can have a strict manager, but he can still galvanise your team. Do you know what I mean? Because the manager who's just left could have been a manager with bad habits himself. Or the games could have been getting him down so much that he'd lost his enthusiasm.
Well, I think we saw a little bit of that with Dyche, didn't we?
Everton? Definitely.
And I think he even admitted himself, that maybe it was time for a change, and he'd done as much as he could with that team. And so what sort of things does a manager do to get that galvanising?
I think it's a natural thing, to be honest with you, Al. I think you are what you are.
Yes.
I think
charisma, personality.
Your charisma, personality, whatever you bring, and your staff who you bring in, and you understand the game, you know what I mean, and you simplify the game. I'm expecting Wolves now, because you're talking about Wolves, the bottom of the league, they're like easy pickings for everyone. For me, whether you change the formation of the last manager, well, that would be maybe if the last manager made the game look hard, make the game look simple. If your players suit a back four, play a back four. If they suit a back five, play a back two. Do whatever suits. But you've got to start winning games of football, regardless. Yeah. So show us how you're going to win games. But then, as a fan, watch the players run back. See if they really are galvanised by the manager. If they're all still walking back, he's having no effect. If they're all sprinting back, he's making a bit of a difference, and results might turn. So that'll be interesting to see next couple of weeks on the Wolves games.
I mean, it's a difficult situation, isn't it? 2 points from a possible 36 is just that's a problem, isn't it?
Yeah. I think they've had lots of problems off. I think the club, they've done well. They've been up for a few years now, haven't they? But they've never got away from really creating anything, have they? They've always been dragged back into all kinds. So, listen, they've gone with Rob Edwards, who's left a brilliant job, a brilliant club, to go to a relegation fight with a dressing room, which I don't know who brings their players, who brings players in. I don't know who brings their players in. But this is what they've got now. Now we'll see if Rob Edwards if he can galvanise the team. Mm.
So they're the struggling managers in the Premier League, and of course, when you look at the top end of the Championship, you see managers who are having a great time. As you say, people like Frank Lampard, people like Mark Robins, and at Stoke, and Leicester are starting to pick up a few results now. Blackburn have picked up a few results.
Preston are doing really well, aren't they?
Yeah, Preston are good until the other day. But when you look at the Championship, again, it's a situation, isn't it, where no one really is taking control of it at the moment. But maybe from Coventry, the game they had on Saturday, I think it was fantastic in the fact that they found themselves 2-0 down and came back to win 3-2. I mean, that's the sign of a good side, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think we've used the word galvanise a couple of times, haven't we? And Frank looks like he's galvanised Coventry. I've been to watch Coventry a couple of times in the last 2 years, and the stadium's full. And it's a fantastic stadium, and it's a great club, isn't it? Coventry City is a good football club. And they have invested in that squad, as a Championship team. They have invested, and we've got some really exciting going forward players. And it looks as though they're just scoring more than everyone else this year, because the games are exciting. They're scoring some. They've had some wins where it's been last kick of the game, and I think Frank has took to the fans, and the fans have really took to him, and the results have shown. I hope Frank stays. I hope he doesn't do, because I think some clubs would be looking at Frank now
as a Rob Edwards.
It's known as a Rob Edwards, yeah. Because he's had a great club. There's no need. You're doing great. You're doing really well.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't it be great? It'd be great to see Coventry in the Prem. But then don't come up and do what Leeds are doing and be gung-ho and wide open. Because Frank's been in the Prem. He knows how hard it is.
Yeah.
So Frank's doing ever so well. And you just mentioned Mark Robins there. Mark's been doing a great job for years, really, hasn't he?
Yeah, previously at Coventry,
Yeah, for years. Is anyone ever going to take a chance in the big league? A Wolves? But obviously they're not. They went with Rob Edwards. But he's doing a good job at the moment at Stoke, and obviously Stoke won't want to lose him, and they're hoping he can carry it on.
And we watched the Steel City derby, Sheffield Wednesday against Sheffield United. Saw, Tyrese Campbell, who's someone, means a lot to me, and, get a couple of goals. Tom Cannon as well, got a goal.
Yeah.
So, they were well worthy of the result. There was a little bit of discussion about the way they celebrated at the end, bearing in mind the troubles that Sheffield Wednesday have got. Is that natural that you're going to do that in a derby and you're going to celebrate like that, or do you think they should have been a bit more tempered?
Well, I understand what you're saying, but you just beat your arch enemies. The last thing you're thinking of as a player, innit, is what's going on. You just want to enjoy yourself and rub their noses in it further. When the dust settles, I'm sure the heart, they think maybe they shouldn't have done it, or maybe think differently of the Sheffield Wednesday fans. But I don't think there's anything bad in it. It's just football, It's just rubbing you. I mean, Everton, Liverpool, I think would do the same here. Yeah. Both teams would do the same here.
In particular, derby.
Yeah, and then the echo might come out in the week and apologise. One team might apologise for their fans' behaviour, and that's it. Yeah. It just settles and get on with it. Now, Sheffield won't go down this year, will they? I think Sheffield Wednesday obviously will go down this year. And that's just a shame of what's gone on at their club.
I think if there's a team that you think are in more trouble than Wolves, it's going to be Sheffield Wednesday, isn't it?
I think so,
You could be.
Yeah. And, but there you go.
Yeah. Look, actually, you just give me we have your rant coming up in a moment, but you just give me an idea for a rant. Players who celebrate or don't celebrate against their old clubs, and maybe that's one we look at in the future.
Yeah.
But this week your rant is going to be about it's about players who, when managers change and how they are different for the next season and the things they say. I know in particular you're talking about certain clubs, but what is it that upsets you about that?
So we're going back 2 years now almost, Al. I remember when Klopp left. No, Klopp done amazing at that club, and he talk about galvanisation, aren't we? So he galvanised that club, and in my opinion, he created one of the best club teams in England for a long time.
Yeah,
and
he basically did a Shankly, didn't he?
Basically,
you know, if you look at the history and the way Shankly built Liverpool, because Liverpool were in not a great place when Klopp came.
That's right. You know, and he come in, he ends up with some amazing players such as Van Dijk and Mane and Salah, and he built a great team, didn't he? And they were exciting to watch, and they were winning trophies, they were getting to finals, they were pushing teams to the limit. And at the same time he was there, Man City created one of the best teams I'd seen as well under Pep. Like his team with De Bruyne at his pomp, you know, they were a fantastic teams, and they were going head to head lots of times for titles, like back in the day when Wenger versus Sir Alex, you know, your Arsenal v Man U. It was almost like that. They were head and shoulders above everyone. And then he left, right? And then sitting back, I'm listening to interviews, I'm listening to players and some ex-players talking about we're going to be playing a different way, it's refreshing, it's this, it's that. And some big players who are playing now saying, yeah, it's brilliant. And it was like sour grapes for me. And I thought, I didn't think Klopp deserved this. It should, you know, it was like everything he's done. We're playing football the way it should be played now. When I've been watching Liverpool and thinking, wow, that's a fantastic team. You know, that's exciting. Don't really leave yourselves wide. Don't have the ball against these because they will exploit you. And that team went on to win. Liverpool then. So they all had to say. And I never heard Klopp come out and talk too much at the time. I thought he just went away and everyone sort of forgot about Klopp. And then they went on and won the league. And I remember saying it last year, Al, I don't think it was a good Liverpool team. But everyone would keep telling you that they're playing this more controlled way. And like I've said it before, I'm watching the games back and they don't play like Man City. Even last year, they don't play like Man City, the most controlled team that you can see. They don't play like Man City. But they're winning games. Now, they won the league. I still didn't see a top team, but they won the league. Now, they only finished with 2 points more than Klopp's team the year before. But the teams chasing them, they finished like 15, 16 points less, miles off it. Yeah. So in my opinion, they won the league last year, not through default, but through other teams just not challenging them, become easy. And then you fast forward now, and it's the same manager. Now he's spent a hell of a lot of money to make his vision grow even stronger. And even from the start of the season, we've talked in here, haven't we? The points they picked up, you know, they didn't roll anyone over. No, they weren't controlling games. In fact, everything they said the year before wasn't happening. They weren't controlling it. It was very transitional. You know, you're 2-0 up against Bournemouth. Bournemouth come back and look like they're going to beat you at Anfield. But then you score off something, you know, a corner or something really scrappy and you nick the win. But it wasn't looking like, they weren't playing like a champions team, a team who just won the league, the way a Man City team would play, who were dominating teams. And I'm looking at them now, and it's like I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're playing. Do you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but when you listen, when you go back to the original point, you know, when players come out and start saying we're going to start doing this, and so, isn't that maybe some players who were not getting a game under Klopp or whoever the manager is? You look at, there's been a number of managerial changes this season already, and you hear it from players who are glad to see the manager go, if you like. Isn't there a little bit of that where players will, you know, but then I guess if they come out with that sort of stuff, they've got to start producing, haven't they?
Well, that's it. So when Klopp goes, you are getting interviews, and it is players who are on the peripherals, in and out, saying, you know, just for me, it was just too much of last year compared to this year already. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. When you didn't play under Klopp because you wasn't good enough to get in that team. Right. But now this manager's come in and he's put his arm round you. You're enjoying training. You know, I've been there myself. You know, you're enjoying training, and it's great. Okay, we'll just get on with it. Don't talk about last year. you know, or don't even over talk about this year, just getting a team. But I just thought there was too much, and it actually grated on me. And I'm not a Liverpoolian, right? But I also knew how good Klopp was, and I also knew what he meant to the club, to the fans, and what he'd done for them. And I just thought he got forgotten, because they all jumped. They changed the board, got changed upstairs. Yeah. We're going to do things different now. We just won the league. We haven't spent a penny, won the league. So I'll tell you what, next year we'll spend 500 million. That'll show us. But no, so me rant was having respect from someone who's done great 4 years. Yeah. Because now, them same players and them same ex-players who were talking or weren't talking, they're all gone quiet now. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, everyone's gone quiet. They don't do no interviews about last year and this year. So that was me rant.
That's fair enough. And if you have anything to say on that, if you've got a comment on that, please, let us know in the comments on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and tell us what you think about these players who come out and say these sort of things. Whether it's Liverpool, whether it's Tottenham, whether it's Nottingham Forest fans, or any fans of any club, please just let us know and like and subscribe as well. Well, Tony, next we're going to be looking at our predictions now. I don't want to sound big-headed in any way, but I am leading at the moment. I think it's 5 points, 4 points for you, and Claire's on 1 point, so she needs to do a lot of work. And we'll be speaking to Claire and the predictions in a few moments. Everton the Gear, independent Everton t-shirts, hoodies and accessories. A collection of original designs across all eras of Everton Football Club. In a wide variety of themes, styles and colours, there's something for every Evertonian. Well, welcome back to the Added Time podcast, and as you may see, Claire has joined us in the studio. Claire, good, welcome back.
Thank you.
And we just need to talk about your performance really over the weekend in the Predictions League. It's quite pitiful, to be honest, but
Yeah, you don't need to rub the salt in the wounds.
Early days. It's early days yet. And as Tony
he's
peaked
anyway.
He's already
do
predicted.
Not worry about him.
I peaked early, and there's every chance of that, believe me. But we're going to look at this week's coming up, and another big weekend. And the thing was, we couldn't really involve the Everton-Manchester United game because that was still to be played when we recorded this week's pod. So we're going to start next week at Brentford against Burnley, aren't we, at the G-Tech?
Yeah, there's a number of 3 p.m. kickoffs next weekend on Saturday. Well, as you say, at the G-Tech, Brentford versus Burnley. Tony, what are your thoughts?
So my thoughts are Scott Parker's going to go there and he's going to take this game as a huge game. And I think Burnley are going to set up to not be beat. Brentford are going to have all the ball. And they're going to frustrate Brentford, and I think Burnley are going to win the game 1-0.
Well, I don't want to worry you, but you did have them to win, at least I think win, maybe draw against Chelsea.
I think they played really well against Chelsea. I think they were just missing maybe that striker which everyone misses. But I think he's going to go to Brentford as the underdog, and I think they're going to be underdogs in most games. But Brentford have surprisingly found themselves as favourites, especially for this game now. Because I thought Brentford would have been underneath Burnley, but they're not. So Burnley 1-0.
1-0, okay. Well, I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Brentford because
it's usual, isn't it?
No,
it's just the opposite.
No, I'm not just doing the opposite. The reason I'm going for Brentford, I think they're difficult at their home ground, and I just don't see it with Burnley. I just think they just haven't got enough to win these games. They will win the odd game, I think, but I just don't see it with the pressure on at Brentford. So I'm going 2-0 Brentford.
Wow, okay. Well, I'm going to be with you, Al. I think it's a Brentford win at home. They've got a little bit of momentum. I'm going 1-0.
Okay. Good.
Love
good.
It.
Double good.
Well, the thing is, you see, if he gets it right and we don't, we're both down 1 point, aren't
exactly,
we? So,
yeah.
Especially if he gets the result.
I know. I do actually need to look at this scoreboard, though, that you've been creating, Alan.
Well, it's quite simple. It's 1 point for a result and 2 points if you get the correct score.
Okay.
So that's the way it works.
I was going to order a Stewart's
No, there's
inquiry
nothing
into
hooky
it the other
going on.
day.
I can promise you that.
Okay, so over at the Stadium of Light on Saturday, Sunderland versus Bournemouth. Toe.
Well, I have said to you, I think Sunderland's are punching, and I really do think that. So quickly, I'm going to go with a Bournemouth 3-1 victory.
Wow, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's a difficult one really for me because I look at Sunderland. I expected them to get something of Fulham, and they didn't. So you just start to wonder whether it's beginning to wane off a little bit, that early season form. But I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw at the Stadium of Light on Saturday.
Okay. I do think it might be a narrow one as well, but I was going to go with a 1-0 Bournemouth.
1-0 Bournemouth, okay. Okay, so I could be out there with the two of you if you both get Bournemouth wins.
Never know.
Man City Leeds.
City Leeds, yeah, what a horrible game for Leeds. They've just give everything physically to try and get something against Aston Villa, which they never. And now they've got to go to Man City and just chase the ball, which is what they're going to be doing for the next 90 minutes. Can't see nothing but one City score. I think the floodgates could open. I'm going to go for a City 4-0.
Wow.
Love it. Okay.
Al?
Claire, well, no, you go next.
I think...
Let's
mix it up. Okay. I think City are home at the Etihad, and we were talking about Leeds being at Ellen Road with the fans behind them last week. I do have to go with Toe. I do think it's going to be a Man City win. Maybe not 4-0, but 2-0 for me.
Well, I'm going bang in the middle. 3-0 for me. I just don't see Leeds scoring, to be honest. I know City can concede from time to time, but I just don't see them doing that on the day. So, yeah, I think we're all pretty emphatic about that, aren't we?
And then a later on game over at the Hill Dickinson, Everton versus Newcastle.
I mean, it's loath for me to say, but I'm a big fan of Newcastle's midfield. I think they're the best three in the country, in Joe Linton, Tonali and Bruno.
Yeah.
I watched them. It looks like they got bite, energy, but they can all play. They can all handle the ball. They can all run. It's loath, but I think Newcastle are going to beat Everton. I think they're going to beat them 2-0.
Okay, well, I'm going to go for 1-1 in that game. I think, down the years, we seem to have, Everton seem to have something about Newcastle. They seem to be able to dig out a result, whether that's just a draw or whatever. So I just get a feeling that it'll be dark, it'll be cold, it'll be, Newcastle won't like coming there. So I'm going 1-1.
Yeah, I think for me, Everton at home, as you say, I do believe the darkness, the fans, everyone getting together, pushing it. It does make a difference. I'm actually going to give it to Everton. I'm going to say 1-0 to Everton at home.
From a red.
Yeah. Told you I'm a nice one.
You are a nice one, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, late game.
Yeah.
8 o'clock kick-off, Tottenham Hotspur v Fulham.
Yeah, interesting game this. I think Frank is a couple of players came off the other week with a little bit of disrespect. They've just been well beat by Arsenal, which I thought would be to give them more of a game. There'll be odds on Fulham come to Goodison, come to Bramley Moor 2 weeks ago and looked a poor away team. But I do think Fulham's manager is a bit better than that. And I'm going to say he's going to galvanise his team to get something at Tottenham. And I think it's going to be 1-1.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go... It's an interesting thing that you say there, Todd, because, I can't see Tottenham Hotspur winning, if you know what I mean. But I just think because of what happened in the derby, they will have a midweek game in Europe, I'm sure. So that might be a problem for them. But I just got a feeling Tottenham Hotspur will, it's difficult at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, whoever you are when you go there. And I still think it will creep a little 2-1 win. I can just see it. So I'm going 2-1.
Okay. I'm going with you as well, Al. I think at home Tottenham are very good, so I'm going to go for a 1-0.
Okay, love it.
So let's go over to Sunday. Crystal Palace versus Man United, 12 o'clock kickoff at Selhurst Park.
Ooh, Crystal Palace, yeah. Afternoon kickoff, full house, Man U. Still struggling in a way to get that performance. Probably go there and think they're better than Palace and try and play the triangle. I just think big Mateta up front. I think Palace are going to beat them. Yeah, I can just see it now. I think Palace, Man U will have the ball, but I think Palace will do enough to win 2-1.
Well, you just stole my thunder, Tony.
2-1.
I'm going 2-1 as well, because I'll tell you why. My thinking is that I think Man United, as you say, are better than Palace. They can beat Palace, but I just think they don't do well under pressure, and under pressure, you can be very much under pressure at Selhurst Park. The crowd's on you.
Yeah, it's right on top of you.
Again, I just think it'll be too much for United.
Is it the last of the old-fashioned stadium?
It is really.
It is,
I think that makes a massive difference when Man United are playing. I think if they go to the bigger grounds, they can cope with that. Yeah. But I just think when the crowd's on top of them, and I think they've still got players, they're still in a fragility in their play, and I think that will tell. 2-1
to Man United.
To Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, I think there's going to be a good fight for it. I'm going to go 1-1.
Well, there you go.
Okay. 2:05 kickoff, City Ground, Nottingham Forest versus Brighton and Hove Albion.
So this is where football doesn't make sense, Al, because Forest have just been to... Yeah. They're on a good form, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they've just been to Anfield and won 3-0, which is, sort of big favourites, aren't they? They're at home, be a full house, will be bouncing. Another old ground. And I think people will be going to bookies now and just probably putting 1 on Forest, and rightly so in a way. But the way probability works, I've got a feeling Brighton are going to upset the apple cart, and I'm going to go for a Brighton win. And I'm going to go for Brighton to win 2-1.
Well, I looked at the game with Brighton at the weekend. They played, was it Bournemouth? Brentford, sorry. Yeah. And even though they came back and won the game, I didn't feel as if they were totally dominant. So I can see a Nottingham Forest win here, and I'm going to go 2-0. I think the tails will still be up, and I think Dyche will have them at it. And so I'm looking at 2-0 there. What about you, Claire?
Yeah, I think considering the defeat the win, I should say, against Liverpool last week, I still think they're going to be on a high, massive high. I'm going to go 2-1.
Okay.
Again,
big derby now.
Oh, huge one, isn't it? Derby. Aston Villa at Villa Park versus Wolverhampton, 2:05 kickoff.
Yeah, I mean, you just said it. It's a big derby. Are Wolves going to set up like it's a derby? Are they going to be overawed by where they are in the league? Is the manager going to galvanise them?
You get a pound for every time you say galvanise.
Do you know what? It's the word of the week.
It is.
It really is. But the answer to all them, I'm going to say, is no.
Right.
And I think it'll just be a matter of time when Villa are going to score. That's what I think. So I'm going to go for Villa to win 2-0.
Okay. Well, I have to say, I can't argue with any of that, really. I can only see an Aston Villa win, as my dad used to say. Preston both ends and Aston Villa, and I'm going for an Aston Villa win, 2-0, same as Tony.
Well, you may as well make that 3, because I agree with the both of you.
There you go.
Oh, it's easy, isn't it? Yeah. So if you're watching, go to Wolves, go back Wolves.
She's just trying to tag on now because she's doing so badly. She's trying to tag on our stuff now.
Gosh.
Right, okay. This will be an interesting one, Claire. And you're going to start with this one.
Am I really? You're going to put that on my toes? Well, that's okay. Another 2:05 kickoff on Sunday. West Ham United versus Liverpool. Oh, why are we all...
Come on, what are you thinking? Yeah, don't forget you've got a game in the midweek against PSV.
I know they're going to be tired, and they're not going to be right there. They will. They'll be tired.
Oh, bloody hell!
Some excuses coming out.
No, they're going to be tired.
Make sure they get to bed early.
I think West Ham might make it a little bit tough for them, especially being at home. But again, I still have to stick with my side.
Okay.
I'm going 1-0. Liverpool.
1-0 to Liverpool, okay. So?
Yeah, I think there's that much uncertainty as a player on how we're going to play football. I don't think they'll know. I don't think Liverpool know how they're going to play football. So I'm going to go. I mean, the manager at West Ham has turned it round big time, hasn't he? I didn't see these results coming for West Ham. And I like West Ham. They're another old-fashioned club, aren't they? They're again similar to Everton in the type, in a way. And he has turned it round for them. And I think West Ham are going to be more of a team, more together, and I think they're going to turn Liverpool over.
Okay.
And I think it'll be 2-1.
Okay. So, but I'm still sticking with Liverpool because I just think a team with the players that they've got, it can't go on. It has to change at some point. They have to start getting better, and I think this will be the game they get better in. So I can see a 2-1 win for Liverpool.
Okay, and then we're moving to one of the biggest games, I think, 4:30, Stamford Bridge.
Really, yeah.
Chelsea v Arsenal.
I mean, this has always been a good game down the years, hasn't it? It's been a fantastic game, and they both sit first and second in the league right now, is it?
Yep.
You know, at times this game will be transitional. There'll be moments in this game where one's attacking, the other's attacking, one's attacking, the other's attacking. It's very hard to pick a winner. It really is. I know it's easy to say Arsenal because they just put 4 past Tottenham, but you're away from home. Chelsea aren't a bad outfit. They've got some good players, but it's hard to go past Arsenal. But I'm going to go with a draw, 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. Okay, interesting. I mean, I'll let you into a little secret. The start of the season.
Score?
No. I wouldn't be sitting here if I did. Well, at the start of the season, I put £1 on a little bet which said Chelsea to be top of the table at Christmas. Now, I was hoping that Arsenal would probably lose in the North London derby, which would mean then if Chelsea were to beat Arsenal, it would mean they could go top and then maybe stay there for Christmas. Alas, it doesn't look as if I'm going to get me £7. But so nothing to lose there really, apart from maybe a few pigs in blankets. What we won't be having because of that. But no, I can't see. I think Chelsea are too hit and miss, and I think Arsenal are a level above this year. I really do. So I can only see a 2-0 win for Arsenal.
Do you know what? Can I change my score?
You're going back on it.
Is that allowed? Judicator?
I don't know.
I mean,
I've
jumped in before you've had your say, haven't I?
Go on.
Okay. I said to you it's going to be transitional, didn't I? And I do think there'll be more goal. I think they'll just go toe to toe, and they'll both. I think it's going to be 3-3.
3-3?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's still the same outcome?
Oh, still the same outcome.
Oh, okay.
I'm just rather than 1-1.
That's definitely allowed.
Yeah,
because you can change the 1 into 3 easy.
Yeah.
They've always been decent games, haven't they? So I think this is going to go down as one of them games where we all talk about.
Fair enough. Yeah,
so
I can see it.
3-3.
Yeah, I can see that with the steam going up in the pitch and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Can you imagine our mobiles when we're all texting next week? Yeah. Well, I'm going to stick with your original one, which is 1-1. Oh, okay. So there we go. So they're the predictions.
If it's 3-3, by the way, I think you should get 3 points, not 2, because that's a great score. Okay. Well, look, and you've got we've had some comments as well, haven't we, from the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, and obviously these are all, comments that we found on YouTube and Spotify, but we've had a great one that's come in from someone called Mr. Tim 4. And this was from last week's episode. It was another great watch and listen. The big competition prize before Christmas is that a proven goal scorer, please. Being old enough
he's an Evertonian, by the way.
Being old enough to remember watching games on CFAX, this week's prize could be a great win. Okay.
Well, look, we pick a winner after this program's recorded this afternoon on the book from Retro Text, which is a great book. I've had a little read of it before I send it out to the winner, and it is. I haven't, had gloves on when I was doing it, so it won't be messed up. But yeah, it's a great little book, and it's great that people are getting involved. And I think the time is now really to talk about this great prize that we've got coming up, which we have to thank Tony for, and that is that we're going to give away, or he's going to give away, 2 tickets for a game at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. And it's coming up, I think it's January the 7th, is it, Toe?
6th or 7th.
Did you say 6th or 7th? Against Wolverhampton Wanderers. And this is in Village Street, and you'll go with me and Tony. That's the downside.
That's the downside.
Yeah, so you'll have to sit next to me and Tony at the game. And it's you and a guest, so you can bring a friend, a member of your family, someone maybe even you don't like. It's up to you. And it's a fantastic prize. It's worth a lot of money. And as I say, we have to thank Tony for that, because he's given up these 2 tickets. And Village Street's great, isn't it, Tony? You can walk in there, you'll get drinks from when you walk in, sort of free drinks, some food as well. Yeah.
Obviously, mine and Alan's company, which is
conversation. The conversation will be riveting.
So myself.
And if you could really help me to get up the stairs at the Hill Dickinson, that would be a real bonus as well.
I've got one question.
Go on.
Who's driving and who's parking the car?
Well.
It's not me, isn't it?
It's not going to be us. On that point, you will have to get to the Hill Dickinson Stadium on your own. But because we're not picking you up. But listen, if you're an Everton fan, if you're a Wolves fan, whoever you are, and you want to go and see a game at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, it's a great game to go and see.
It's a great Christmas present.
It's a great Christmas present for somebody as well. Yeah, so you can pass it on to somebody if you win and you can't go for whatever reason. But it's going to start now. It's going to run till, we're probably going to announce it just before Christmas, on the last pod before Christmas. So all you have to do is like and subscribe to the Added Time podcast on YouTube. And we will pick a winner from that. So good luck with that, and I hope you're successful.
And just on that one, there is a live TikTok as well. So if you do want to get in touch with any of the guys on TikTok, head over to the Added Time pod on there. But just before we finish, gentlemen, we've had a message in from Steve Kirby.
Okay.
Who said, which player in the Premier League isn't getting enough credit for the performances right now?
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a good question. I mean, it's hard actually, because we don't see them all. Like, you support a certain team, so it's hard for me to see
watch every
a Brentford
game.
player, because there'll be a player at Brentford who's doing great and a player at such and such doing great. I know at Everton, young. There's a couple of players, young Ndai on the wing. He is getting some credit, but his performances are that good. Maybe he should get even more credit. I know the Everton owners probably don't want him to get credit because everybody might want to buy him, but he is in a league of his own at the moment. But one who goes under the radar is young James Garner, who fills in at right back, he fills in at centre mid, he fills in everywhere, and he does a great job wherever he plays. He's an exceptional footballer. I thought his performances deserved a call-up to the last England squad, is what I thought. I don't think he's that far off. His background's really good. He come from Man U. He's brought up the Man U way, so he's got a great background. He's doing great, and I just finish with right now, because I have watched them play. I watched them last year play. I watched them the other day play. I said it before. Newcastle's midfield 3. I know it's a bit different, but I think they remind me of old fashions. Get stuck in, but can all play and they can all run. I think that them 3 as a 3, I can't see better than them 3 as a midfield.
Well, I'm actually going to look at a Tottenham player, Micky van der Ven, and I think he's done brilliant. They've had a difficult start, Tottenham, as we've seen. We've talked about it today, and but he's the one that's sort of outstanding in that team. He scored an incredible goal a couple of weeks ago. So for me, Micky, and defenders don't always get that. That credit, and I don't think he's getting the credit. He will be by Tottenham fans, but I don't think he's talked about amongst other fans at the moment. And watch them at Goodison. Sorry, we keep saying it, don't we? At Hill Dickinson, fantastic. And I think for me, Micky van der Ven, I would definitely.
And there's a kid at Fulham who I quite like. I think he's just come out the team now. He's only a young boy, Josh King.
Yeah.
He's a kid who's just come off. I've never heard of him up until this season. So he's someone to keep your eye on to watch further, isn't he? But there's going to be numerous. It'd be great to hear other people's ideas of what their favourite player is so far, because we haven't seen all the teams, have we?
No. Well, thanks, Steve, for that question. We really appreciate the comments, and we welcome them as well. Please keep them coming in and get involved in the competition. It's a fantastic prize, we say. Those 2 tickets to come with me and Tony to an Everton game, Everton against Wolves on, we think, January the 7th, could be the 6th. We'll check it out. And of course, like and subscribe to the Added Time podcast. And thank you also to our sponsors for this episode, Everton the Gear. If you're an Everton fan, that's the place to go to get some gear for yourselves. I'll speak to you soon. See you on the next episode of the Added Time podcast. This episode of the Added Time podcast is sponsored by Everton the Gear.